Eileen Eisenberg was born on April 16, 1933. She was raised in Brooklyn by her maternal grandparents, who were both immigrants from Russia.
Because we had a very nice, two houses that were together, and it had a yard in between with a grapevine on it, and chickens in the backyard, and a little chicken coop, which we thought was hot stuff. And so we went in there and played sometimes and swept it out, and I don't have to tell you, it didn't smell all too good. But we cleaned it out, and Sandra and I and my Dinah, we used to play in there all the time. We all knew where everyone was at every moment. Each one had to take care of someone else, because that's the way it went. My Bubby and Zadie. But they were my mother and father. Because my mother died when I was 1. I had 2 brothers. They were, at that time, about 7 and 9, around that time. And so that they went to court and fought for us and won. Won us from my father, and they raised us with everybody else, with all the other 10 children. We were, and everybody who we associated with, and everybody from our shul was Jewish. But our block was mixed, but yet they all got along, and they looked to my grandfather like a sage. And yet there were non-Jews on the block. But the area itself was Jewish, and 2 blocks from the shul, so, and everybody knew each other. The shoe store, the grocery store, the drugstore, we all knew each other. We all knew the families, and everybody grew up together. So it was a nice area to live in for us. Mm-hmm. And everything was surrounding the shul, because my grandfather was the head of the shul. He ran the catering, and so that was where all the social functions were, and all the friends were. You're an American, you were Jewish, you were an American, that was it. And they were very proud to be Americans.
Were you raised with a strong Russian heritage, or was it you're American?
We were American, but they were Russian, and they were proud of it. They were proud of where they came from, and they always talked about the old country and told us things about it, and they were very proud of the heritage. They never wanted to go back, but they were proud. That were took a lot of guts for them to come here. Little children, and they didn't know America, no future here. I mean, when my grandmother came over, my grandfather came first. Zadie came first to find a place for them to live and stuff. And she came about 3 months later. She had 3 children with her that were little, 4, 3, and 11 months, and she was pregnant. And she came on a big boat alone. And I thought that was a lot of guts, because they were like 29 years old, they were young. And they made a life here. I thought that was a great thing for them to do. And so they were always proud of America and what it did, they could keep themselves, they didn't have to change who they were, and yet they could be American too. My grandparents only spoke Yiddish. So I learned Yiddish first, but I always spoke to them in English, and they answered me in Yiddish, but I knew what they were saying, so they learned a little English from me, and I learned all of the Yiddish from them before I knew English. She was very secure, and we were always proud of what we were and who we were, and that we were Jewish. It never was a problem, although there were plenty Gentiles around the area, but it was okay. We held our own, and we were fine. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather, I remember, always used to invite somebody in if they didn't have something to eat, if they weren't Jewish. We as I say, we never were lonely because we had each other. We were always together, everybody. And nobody was missing that we didn't know where they were. So it was a comfortable feeling growing up. Mm-hmm. And as bad as my circumstances were, they were good because of that. Because I had that security of, you have family, you have security. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So you always have that. It stays with you forever. She taught me all the traditions. She taught me that if you peeled an onion and you cried, that you weren't a good balabuster, which is a good housekeeper. Everything. Passover, We had a big fish in our bathtub. No one took a bath for a week because this big fish was there so she can cut it and make fresh gefilte fish for the holiday. I mean, came the holiday, everybody came, even the ones that were married and lived a few blocks away to help her wash dishes and do all that stuff. And not only did they come, but they had a good time doing it. They sang. All of them were singing while they were doing it. She taught me everything. She taught me Shabbos and how to set, setting the table and getting ready and all that stuff. And that didn't seem odd to me because that's the way it was. It wasn't not odd. It wasn't different. It wasn't strange. That's it. So, I learned a lot from her. And she was a very tough person. I saved this from her perfume bottle all these years. Not the most expensive bottle, but to me it was a treasure because it was hers. And so I always have it, and I always keep it there. And I guess it worked like a seltzer bottle at the time. And I have it all these years of her. Yes, I do have a locket of hers, which has my mother's picture in it, because everything had my mother's picture in it, because she had just died. And so I have a beautiful sterling locket with her initials on it. I have a few things of hers, which are important, not monetarily, but just because they belong to her.
This is the sterling locket from Eileane's bubby, with a picture of Eileen's mother, Sarah, inside.
In conclusion, I must say, growing up was very secure because we had family all around us all the time. And we were all for one and one for all, and we all knew everyone else. We had everyone else's back, and we knew it. And it was a very strong sense of belonging, and your religion, and your everything, your heritage, and who you were. You knew who you were. You were glad who you were. You were happy with it, and it wasn't something that we questioned or why. No, we were proud and we were happy with what we were. We didn't never even dawned on us to question it. That was it. And whatever we did, whatever we had, holidays, traditions, that was great with us. It was fine. It was fun. It was nice. Because we all had all each other all the time. So we all had that support system all the time. And that's what made it so great and tolerable, really.